This lesson covers formatting citations and citing in MLA style format. You will need this to avoid plagiarism in your essay. You have keywords of in-text citations, works cited page, and how-tos on creating those citations and those pages. In in-text citations, you need to know when to use them, which, as we've said before in class, is after every source use. This is whether or not you put the information in your own words. If you got the information from somewhere else other than your own head, as in the idea came first from your own head, not you read it somewhere else before and thus it was already in your head, you got it from somewhere else, you need to cite where you got it from. For now, you have what, or should have in your paper, source numbers. You will use these source numbers to form your in-text citations. Your in-text citations belong at the end of the sentence or last sentence from that source use, in parentheses, before the period. That's where we should see your source numbers right now. To cite, it depends on what you have. If you know the author and you have a page number, you would replace the source number with the author's last name and the page number, and it would look like this. Note that there is no comma before or between the page number and the author's last name. Also note that there's no P or PG or number sign before the page number. It's just the last name and the page number. If you didn't know the author but you still had the page number, you would cite this way with the short title of whatever source you are using in quotation marks and the page number. If you have a long title, such as one that goes with a book or a whole website, instead of quotation marks, you would use italics. If you know the author but you don't have a page number, you just use the author's last name in parentheses. And if you don't know the author and you don't have a page number, you would just use that short title or other title in either quotation marks for a short title or italics for a long title. When you're using the source numbers to cite, you do have the option of replacing those source numbers with what we call the find and replace function on the computer. And this will just replace the source number with the proper citation. You would click Control plus F at the same time, and then you'd switch to the Replace tab. And then in the Find What box, you would type the source number that you want. I recommend putting parentheses around those source numbers, just like you currently have them in your paper, because that will cue the computer in only to those numbers. Then on the Replace With, you would type in the parentheses and what you want to put in those parentheses that match up with that source number. After which, clicking the Replace All button will replace all of that set of source numbers with the new citation. Please make sure to proofread carefully afterwards. This is especially true if on the Find What line you just put the number and no parentheses, because it will replace every instance of that number in your document with what you typed on the Replace With line. Also, you'll need to go back and add page numbers to the citations that need them, because your page numbers aren't going to be the same all the way through. So you would either not have them at all, or you would have the same page number listed through the whole document, and that would not be accurate. So, Control plus F for the Find and Replace function makes it very quick to replace your source numbers with the proper citation. But you do need to proofread to make sure only your source numbers were replaced, and to update the page numbers in the citations that need them. Works cited pages. Provide full citations for each source used in the paper. You do need a works cited page in addition to your in-text citations. You are plagiarizing if you leave either set out. In a works cited page, you would need to know where to find that in your paper. Your page will need a title. You'll have to have all of your citations, which have to be organized in a certain way, and formatted specifically. The title is going to be centered and not bolded, made bigger, or underlined. It's very simply a title of works cited, the only time that you can get away with titling something just what it is in my class. You should find the works cited page at the last page of your document. Don't open a new document and start one, because that will throw off your header and your page number that you should have already formatted. So this is just the last page of the document. The citations themselves will vary by the type of source you use. You'll have print sources, which could be a book or a magazine or journal article, also a newspaper article. Then you'll have website sources, which would be a website, either one that came with a short title or one that did not. And you also have direct sources, which would be your interviews or any correspondence you've done. The information for what you need to put in each citation is found on your source trackers. To cite a print source, using the source tracker, for a book, you would need to list the author, the title, the city of publication, the publisher, the year published, and that it was a print source. Okay. Author's name is listed last name, comma, first name. Titles of books are put in italics. Then you list the city with a colon, then the press, followed by a comma, then the copyright date. Period goes after that, then print. If you have an editor with your author, or an editor with no author rather, you would stick the abbreviation ED after the author's first name. You have both. The author's name comes right after the book title, preceded by the abbreviation ED. For a magazine or journal article, you would want the author's name again, last name, comma, first name, followed by a period. Then the article goes in quotation marks because this is the short title. The magazine or the journal title would be in italics because it's the long title. Then you have the volume and the issue number set up like a decimal. The publication date goes in parentheses followed by a colon, and you end with the page numbers followed by a period. Note again that it's a print source is typed at the end. Websites start with author that have authors, have the author name first, last name, comma, first name, period. The page title of the website goes on quotation marks, followed by the italicized website name. If the website has a publisher, which you would find down by the copyright, if it has one, or a sponsored by line, then you would put the publisher. If you don't have a publisher, you put capital N period lowercase p, comma, the year that it was last updated. We'll cover what to do if they don't have a date in just a minute. That it is a web source goes right after the year of last being updated or created, and then the day that you used it, 5 November 2014. It is acceptable to abbreviate longer months, so January, February, August, September, October, November, and December are the ones that you would be able to abbreviate to a three-letter abbreviation followed by 2014. If you don't have an author but you do have a page title, you just start with that page title. If you don't have an author or a page title, you would start with the website name. If you don't have a date of publication, where that date of publication would go, you're going to put a lowercase n period d period. For highlighting purposes here, I have bolded and underlined that abbreviation. It should not be bolded or underlined in your works cited page, just for clarification. If you're doing an interview, you need the person that you interviewed, last name, comma, first name, period. Then you would write that it's personal interview and the date of that interview. If you're dealing with correspondence in an email, it's very, very similar. You would write the person you wrote to, then you would put the subject line of the email in quotation marks, write that it was a message to the author, and the date that the message was received, and then that this was an email. If it was a letter instead of an email, you're going to do the same thing, except for there won't be a subject line, so you just jump right to letter to the author, the date the letter was written, and whether it was typed, so TS for typed, or handwritten, MS for handwritten. That's a lot of information to remember, and it can vary depending on the type of source you have. So basically, to do this, you would just want to type the information from your source tracker into your citation in the order it was listed, either in this particular notes or in the pocket style manual feature here. We have several of those on the bookshelf above your textbooks in the classroom. You need to make sure that your citations are formatted to match these, because you will lose points if they are not. All of your citations should be listed in alphabetical order. And this goes by whatever came first in the title. The easiest way to do this is just type all of your citations from your source tracker in there and get them formatted. Then you can highlight and drag sources to order them alphabetically. So, for example, here we have a works cited page for your sample essay that we've been working with, and we can see that our citations are not in alphabetical order, although we have them complete. To move them into alphabetical order, hold down one cursor and then drag the rest of it so that the whole line is highlighted. Let it go back to the arrow, then again hold down the left click so you get this, and just move it up there. Now we have them in alphabetical order. So, to format your citations, they should all be left aligned, not centered. They still need to be double spaced. This will automatically hold through if you just make it the last page of your document. Do not hit enter extra times between your citations, and do not use number or bullet points to list your citations. Just put them in alphabetical order. Short titles, like page titles on websites, articles, or chapters, go in quotation marks. Long titles go in italics. Citations that have more than one line need a hanging indent, which means the bottom line is indented, not the top. We can see where our second citation here needs a hanging indent. To accomplish this, it's easiest to type all of your citations in, then highlight them. If you don't have this ruler up at the top of your screen, you can get the ruler by going to View and check marking the ruler box. Once you do have that, you'll want to go to the little hourglass, and you want the bottom triangle that points up where it says hanging indent when you hover over it. Click your left cursor, hold it down, and drag it to the halfway point between the 1-inch margin. This will automatically create a hanging indent for any citation that needed it. So again, type your citations first, use your cursor to highlight all the citations, just the citations and nothing more. View the ruler at the top of the page, and then drag the bottom part of the hourglass to the halfway to the 1-inch line. This ends your citation tutorial. Please use the resources available in the classroom, in addition to the green pocket style manuals that tell you how to format your citations, which you are expected to use, much like you have to look up how to spell a word in the dictionary. There are also pink printout forms of that. For help using the pocket style manual to cite, please see me in class. Now you need to cite your essays properly in preparation for your final draft.